Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys tuning in for today's video. Always appreciate that. And boy, did I open a nest of hornets yesterday when I did the video defending Chris Zaldain for what happened with his altercation with the local angler at Lake Murray. And I sort of wanted to take some time and get into that a little bit more in today's video and sort of clarify some things, because it seems like to me that there's a lot of misunderstanding around this. And I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't hardly sleep last night. I posted that video yesterday evening, and I started looking through the comments, and it's like everybody just was dogging. I mean, just absolutely dogging Chris Zaldain for what happened, and also dogging me for defending him a little bit. So I want to get into that a little bit. So first of all, I want to say one thing. You know, one of my favorite Bible stories is when Jesus came upon the angry mob that was in the process of stoning the woman who had been accused of adultery. And Jesus said something along the lines that, you know, he who has never sinned before cast the first stone. And of course, nobody did, and then everybody left the woman alone. But it's sort of the same thing with this situation. That, yeah, Chris probably did not handle that situation the best, but on top of that, when you realize that, and then everybody just dogged him about it and just hammered the dude about it simply because he may not have handled that situation in the perfect way at that particular time. But what I want to talk about in this a little bit, I want to go into maybe some of the reasons why pro anglers have gotten this reputation from the weekend anglers, that they're just these entitled, you know, a-holes that are up on a pedestal out there, and it's just not true. I sort of want to clarify that a little bit. Now, first of all, this is a unique situation because in professional bass angling, this is one sport we play on public water. We play in a public arena. It's not like golf that has a private golf course, or NBA or football that is in a private stadium. We're on a public body of water, and that offers a completely new set of dynamics. And you have to be able to interact and communicate and get along with everybody in a tournament scenario. Given that, the burden in this situation always seems to lie on the pro angler. It's like the professional tournament, or not just the pro angler, the tournament angler. The tournament angler seems to always be expected to be the one to take the high road in a situation like what happened in Chris's deal over there. And the weekend angler always seems, you know, to be the one that is not expected to take the high road. That is the gist of it that I have seen over and over and over again. And to some extent, I agree with that, because I do agree that tournaments they're a part of a public body of water that demands that a little bit. It's like we are thrust upon this situation where we're put to fish tournaments in front of, you know, local anglers like this. And I do think that we have a responsibility to maybe suck it up once in a while and do the right thing, even though it may not be fair. I think that's the reality of the situation. But one of the things I want to do here is I want to clarify why, you know, maybe Chris did what he did, or other anglers have done what they did, because, you know, there's some emotions that go on in a tournament angler's mind that a lot of people don't understand. And I'll say, first of all, like yesterday, I was defending Chris. Chris is a good friend of mine. You know, I like the guy a lot, and I got irritated about people just hammering him, so I had his back a little bit, you know, and I referred to some of the local anglers out there that just do not bend a little bit as dicks. That's a term I shouldn't have used. I apologize for that. I probably should have used a better term on that. But let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. And just take for a second and put yourself in my position here, or other anglers' position. I'm going to give you guys two examples of what have happened to me with local anglers in the past, and you tell me how you would feel and how you would handle this. I had two different tournaments, and I've actually mentioned this a little bit before in the past. One tournament, I was fishing the Bassmaster Top 150 down at the Potomac River, and in this particular tournament, Potomac River is a tidal river, so the fish behave different there. And I found a set of old pilings, old like telephone poles in the water. There's only like maybe 20 of these telephone poles, and it was only like maybe I don't know, 100-foot long. It was short. I could cast down the whole row of these pilings, and the fish were stacked on these pilings. And under certain, like the first 2 hours of incoming tide and the last 2 hours of outcoming tide, it was like every cast in there. And anyway, I was doing really good in the tournament. I hadn't seen anybody in there. I think I was in second or third place going into the last day of the tournament. And I had this spot to myself all week long. The afternoon, the day before the last day of the tournament, towards the end of the day, this local boat came in there and was watching me catch him, and he was setting back off fishing like a riprap around there, and I didn't think anything about it. He was the first boat that I'd seen the whole time in there. Next morning, the last morning of the tournament, when I really felt that I was going to win that tournament because I was moving up every day and I was only like a pound out of the lead, and shoot, I was catching 50 keepers a day. I pull up to that spot that next morning, and he and another boat are sitting on that row of pilings. And there's no room for me to fish anywhere. It's like it's only 100-foot long, and there's two guys sitting right on this row of pilings that are sitting there. And anyway, my heart just sunk, and I pulled up and I said, guys, I can't tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I said, but this is the only place that I've been fishing all week long. I'm in third place in the tournament. I'm a pound out of the lead. I got a chance to win $100,000 here. This is the only spot that I've got. Is there any way that I could come in here and fish? They wouldn't even look at me. They just kept fishing. They completely ignored me, and they would. And I had to leave. I didn't at that point. I knew there was nothing I could do. I didn't say anything to him. I just left. But it was like, what the heck, that type of deal. Another situation. I was fishing a Bassmaster Top 150 down at Lake Gunnersville, and it was the second day of the tournament, and I was leading the tournament, and there was same type of a deal. I found this one stretch of grass that was only like maybe 50 yards long. It was a grass edge, and I was pitching and flipping jigs into the edge of this grass, and it was right on a break line. Fish were stacked in this. Same thing, I hadn't seen anyone out there except there was a local boat that afternoon before that was sitting way out off the bank out there fishing a grass bed on a flat and watching me, and I was jacking him. I had over 20 pounds that day that he saw me out there. The next morning I pulled up to the spot, and I had the Bassmaster camera crew in the back of the boat with me, and as soon as I pulled up to the spot, that guy that I saw that watched me, the local, the day before, pulled up like 100 foot in front of me on the grass bed and started working towards me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And the camera guy, I didn't say anything. The camera guy got pissed. He got in distance where the guy could hear him. And he goes, dude, what are you doing? He said, Randy is leading the tournament here. I said, you've seen it. He goes, you see me standing here with a camera boat. What are you doing right on top of this stretch of grass here? Same deal. Guy wouldn't even look up, never even said anything. I didn't say anything, and I wound up fishing it up to him, and I just left the spot alone. And so you tell me, it's like when you're talking about these pros being entitled and the locals having all the rights to do stuff, that is what I'm talking about. Is you put yourself in my position, what would you have done in that situation? You're leading the tournament, you've got a chance to win $100,000, and you have a local that was there only because they saw you catching the fish. Now, I'm not saying that was the situation with Chris. One of the things that happened in Chris's video, I couldn't hear what the local was saying. All I could hear what was Chris was saying, and that's another thing. I don't believe that Chris would have just went off on like that unless he was being yelled at or mallet at by the other angler out there. So from that standpoint, guys, every situation is different. It's how you interact with local anglers out there. And the point of the whole matter is what I'm talking about here is that communication is the key here. You have got, if you're a pro angler or pro anglers in general, they have got to communicate with locals, and they have got to make the locals or the weekend anglers feel comfortable. That is a responsibility that a tournament angler has, that they have to take on. They may not want to take on that responsibility, but that's just the way it is. Tournament anglers, I don't care if you're fishing a club tournament or a BFL or a Bassmaster Elite Series, It's the responsibility of the tournament anglers to smooth things out with the weekend anglers. And it's not easy to do, because sometimes, you know, you'll run into some dude that's just cool as heck, and, you know, like I said, I'll say, oh, you know, I'll get out of your way, no big deal. And other times you're going to run into guys like I did that purposely went on your areas because they saw you. They never would have been fishing there if they hadn't seen you there. And they're going to do anything they can to just ignore you or make your day miserable. It's like every situation is unique and every situation is different out there. But the point that I want to say in the video, for all you guys that are, a lot of guys out there that just think that, you know, Chris and is, you know, just being, is, you know, just out of line on this thing, and I'm out of line for defending him, and anyone else is out of line. This goes on every tournament. Just the only reason that people are going off on Chris on this is because it was on video. I can assure you guys, because I've been around this for 40 years, this type of interaction and arguing and that, you know, confrontation back and forth with local anglers, it goes on every tournament across the country almost. It's just the nature of the beast on this situation. So I don't know what the thing about it, guys, I don't want people out there to think that tournament anglers are just a bunch of a-holes. These entitled a-holes that think they're better than everybody else, because they're not. And pros don't think that. Yeah, there's a few bad apples out there that, you know, are like anyone else. There's a few bad apples on the pro side, and there's a few bad apples on the weekend angler side. But this shouldn't be some type of us against them, some type of war between weekend anglers and tournament anglers. Everybody has got to get along out there. Everybody has got to share the water. And it's just a matter of just communicating and doing the right thing. Is it ideal? No. It's like, are tournament anglers happy that they have to sacrifice places that they've worked for and, you know, found on their own? No. Are weekend anglers happy they have to deal with these bass boats running 70 miles an hour down their home lake every weekend? No. Nobody's happy with it. It's like, but we have to do the best that we can. And it all goes back to the point that I made yesterday. If everybody would empathize with everybody else, it would be a so much better world. If a pro out there rolls up onto a point and he sees a local out there, if he would just take time and say, look, this dude probably worked all week long. This is his only day off. He wants to fish this place. Think about that a little bit before, you know, you speak. And then if the weekend dude out there, you know, comes upon a pro and he wants to fish a spot, maybe he can say, well, this dude spent tens of thousands of dollars to get here, and he's trying to pay his mortgage and trying to feed his family by catching a few fish. If the weekend anglers would think about that, then maybe it'd go a little bit easier with that. But one of the things I do want to reiterate here is that there's no reason to villainize the majority of bass fishing tournament anglers out there. They're good guys. They really are. They're not malicious. They're not a-holes. They're not entitled. They're down-to-earth, good dudes that you would probably love to fish with, just as friends. And I just think there's a little bit of misunderstanding when it comes to that, and it's easy to point a finger with it. So anyway, I hope that clarifies a little bit, guys. I just, like I said, if you're one of the hardcore weekend anglers that don't fish tournaments and don't like tournament anglers, you know, I want to apologize if, you know, we've offended you. I can assure you that that was not our intention with that. Everybody out there, whether you're a weekend angler or tournament angler, we're out on the water because we love to bass fish, and there's a brotherhood to that a little bit. So hope that makes sense a little bit, and hope we can just dial the temperature back on this. And like I said, things that what happened to, you know, this whole situation that went down with Chris at Lake Murray over there, there's a lot going on behind the scenes as far as pressure, anxiety amongst pro anglers. They're at risk for, you know, keeping or losing sponsorships based upon their performance. Like I said, they got mortgage payments to pay. They've got to worry about next year paying entry fees. And sometimes people just don't make the best decisions. But it just goes back to, you know, the way Jesus handled the mob that was after the adulterer. Sometimes that we just have to take that into consideration and you know, realize that we're none of us out there are perfect. We all make mistakes. We all have times where we don't handle situations the best, but ultimately as humans, I think every single one of us are trying our best. It may not have seemed that at the time, but I think we're all trying our best, and we all just want to be happy and get along. So anyway, guys, hope it makes some sense. We'll talk later.